Once upon a time, 500 years ago, in a serene mountain village, there lived a Zen master known for his profound wisdom and insightful teachings. He was renowned not only for his ability to guide his students on the path to enlightenment, but also for his unique way of imparting wisdom through experience. Among his students, there were two who stood out distinctly from one another. The first was a man of great ambition, always chasing after the next step toward enlightenment. He had boundless energy and dreams of achieving the highest mastery, believing that diligence and ambition were the cornerstones of success. The second student was a man of remarkable patience, who found joy and peace in merely existing in the present moment. He embraced the beauty of stillness, appreciating the subtle nuances of life that often went unnoticed by others. One bright morning, sensing that it was time for a lesson that would hold value for both, the Zen master summoned his students. Today, he announced, "We shall journey to the river." Intrigued, the ambitious student's eyes sparkled with anticipation, his mind racing with thoughts of new techniques to master. The patient student nodded serenely, already prepared to embrace whatever experience awaited them. Upon reaching the river, the master gestured towards its shimmering surface and said, "Your task is to cross this river. Do so in your own way." With those words, he stepped aside, leaving the two students to deliberate over their approach. The ambitious student, almost bouncing with fervor, immediately scanned the nearby banks for a boat or a bridge. He thought to himself, "I shall find a way to cross with efficiency and speed." His mind buzzed with possibilities as he set off along the bank in search of the quickest route. His heart raced with the thrill of overcoming a challenge that he perceived as a test of his ambition. "A master has no time for folly," he declared to himself, "and I shall prove my skill." Meanwhile, the patient student walked to the river's edge, kneeling to touch the water. He watched the river flow, observing the way the light danced upon its surface and the way delicate blossoms floated gently down the stream. Instead of rushing, he allowed himself to be enveloped by the moment. With his spirit calm and focused, he found solace in the river's whispers and the gentle rustling of leaves in the wind. As time passed, the ambitious student returned, his brows furrowed and frustration evident on his face. "Master," he exclaimed, "there are no boats nearby, nor bridges to cross. We must find a way." The master nodded knowingly but said nothing, simply watching the ambitious student as he paced back and forth along the riverbank. After a while, the ambitious student noticed the patient student, who was still kneeling at the river's edge with a peaceful countenance. Confused by the man's calm demeanor, he approached him. "Why do you waste your time? The river is wide, and we must cross it. Do you not seek to achieve anything?" The patient student looked up, a gentle smile on his face. "Ah, dear friend, I see the river as a moment of reflection. The journey exists in the now, and that is enough." Frustrated and unable to comprehend, the ambitious student retreated to his thoughts again, brainstorming new strategies. "Perhaps I should swim across," he pondered, his ambition returning fiercely. He quickly stripped away his shoes and waded into the chilly water, plunging forward with determination. As he swam against the current, he fought against the waves with fervor, straining and struggling to reach the opposite bank. But the more he pushed, the more the current seemed to overpower him. Gasping for breath and feeling fatigue settle in his limbs, he was forced to turn back to the shore. Defeated, he collapsed on the bank, panting heavily. From his position, he watched his patient counterpart, who was now standing and looking thoroughly composed. "How can you simply stand there?" the ambitious student shouted in disbelief. "You're doing nothing while I'm trying so hard." With a calm expression, the patient student replied, "The river itself teaches us wisdom. It flows with grace, and though it may seem still, it is ever moving. Just as the river does not fight against its course, neither should we rush against the path of our own lives. Sometimes it takes patience to move forward." Frustration gnawed at the ambitious student. "If I am not actively striving, how can I progress?" He shook his head defiantly and looked away, unwilling to embrace a different perspective. At that moment, the Zen master approached closer, his voice like a gentle breeze, carrying the lessons of nature itself. "My dear students," he began, "the ambitious chase and the patient observe. Yet both are unaware that the river has its own wisdom. The art of life lies not solely in ambition nor solely in patience, but in recognizing when to act and when to be still. Both qualities are essential for balance. After hearing those words, the ambitious student fell silent, reflecting on the earnest struggle that had only left him exhausted. Meanwhile, the patient student surveyed the water, pondering deeply the master's insight. As the sun ascended higher in the sky, casting golden reflections on the river's surface, something beautiful happened. The water's current became less fierce, and small ripples expanded outward from the center. In that moment of clarity, the ambitious student understood that the river was revealing a pathway, hidden just beneath the surface. "Wait," he shouted suddenly. "What if we could use the current to our advantage? If we don't fight it, but rather go with the flow, we may reach the other side." With excitement, they both prepared to enter the water together. The master watched with eager eyes, cherishing the realization of his students. They stepped into the river, and this time, instead of swimming against the current, they embraced it. They allowed themselves to float and feel the gentle push of the water beneath them. With laughter and joy, they glided along, trusting the river to guide them. As they approached the opposite bank, exhilaration surged through their hearts. They reached the shore, both astounded by what they accomplished together. Awe-filled silence engulfed them as they pulled themselves onto dry land. The Zen master stepped forward, a proud smile across his face. Today's lesson was not about how swiftly you can cross the river or how patiently you wait. It was about finding harmony between ambition and patience. Never forget that both are valuable in your journey. The two students exchanged glances, their spirits intertwined with newfound understanding. The ambitious student felt the weight of his frustration lift, replaced by clarity, while the patient student radiated contentment. They had traversed the river of life, not merely in physicality but in enlightenment, each bringing forth the wisdom of their own perspectives. In reflection, they realized that life often presents challenges and opportunities, but the real lesson lies in the mastery of how to approach them. There is power in ambition and wisdom in patience. It is the harmony between the two that leads to fulfillment. As the sun set behind the mountains, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the Zen master imparted a final thought. Approach each day like a river, where you honor both your drive and your stillness. Let the flowing waters of experiences remind you that life is about balance. When you embrace both the ambition to soar and the patience to abide, enlightenment becomes not an end, but a continuous journey. In conclusion, both students learned to cherish the balance between their differing natures, recognizing that life's beauty unfolds in the delicate interplay of striving and yielding. They left the river not solely as a seeker of knowledge and a patient observer, but as understanding companions on the shared path of existence. Let this story remind us all that self-improvement is not just about pushing forward relentlessly, but also about learning to temper our drive with moments of stillness. Sometimes the greatest advancements come not from the pursuit of haste, but from allowing ourselves to flow with the currents of life. Embrace the journey,